Welcome back to the show. Hate crimes against Asian Americans in the United States continue to spike amid the coronavirus pandemic. The community becoming a wrongful target after the virus was first discovered in the community of Wuhan, China. According to the group Stop AAPI Hate, more than 2,800 anti-Asian hate incidents were reported in the U.S. from March to December of 2020. And the actual number of incidents over the past year could be far higher than that, as many, far too many, go unreported. Earlier today, I spoke one-on-one with California Representative Judy Chu about this startling trend and what she wants to see happen now to better address it. Take a look.
So for a whole year, ever since March, we've seen a rise in anti-Asian hate crimes and incidents due to coronavirus. And it was stoked by President Trump's usage of the terms China virus, Wuhan virus, and even Kung flu. We saw that there was a rise in horrible anti-Asian offensive words on Twitter, but also actual terrible assaults against AAPIs across the nation. And it only increased in recent weeks against elderly AAPIs. And in fact, an 84-year-old Thai man was murdered in San Francisco, completely unprovoked. There was an assault against a 91-year-old man who was pushed and shoved to the ground in Oakland, Chinatown, and the person then went on to assault two other elderly persons. And in New York, a man that is Asian had his face slashed from ear to ear on a New York subway. Again, totally provoked, and quite a few of these cases, it is alarming the AAPI community, and that is why we are taking action now.
I mean, you do mention that some of these absolutely horrific instances, and some of which we've seen the images for. You mentioned the 84-year-old in San Francisco, that suspect, 19-year-old Antoine Watson. He's been charged with murder and elder abuse against that senior citizen. But like you said, this has been the last few weeks. How much responsibility do you attribute specifically to the previous president, Donald Trump, there? And are you concerned that we are still seeing these some of these acts, even though Donald Trump is no longer president?
Well, we've had a full year of him using those terms and other people, his followers, basically adopting it. In fact, his followers in Congress using these terms over and over again. We've actually also had 4 years of President Trump dividing America, pitting one group against each other, and especially targeting communities of color as well as immigrants. So I am not surprised that we see the aftermath of all of that division here targeted against AAPI elderlies, who would be considered the most vulnerable, the easiest to assault in an unprovoked way.
And of course, again, the images that we've seen emerge of some of these attacks are just beyond gruesome. What do you need to see more from the incumbent administration, from President Joe Biden, to help combat against the surge in some of these either hate crimes or vicious acts of violence that we've seen?
I have to say it was huge when President Biden issued an executive order within the first week of his tenure in office, and it was to have the Department of Justice work with the AAPI community on the means by which they could combat these hate crimes. So immediately, we in the Congressional Asian Pacific Caucus asked for a meeting with the Department of Justice, and we, in fact, are going to have that sit-down meeting in which we will certainly talk about ways that the Department of Justice can meaningfully engage with the AAPI community, for one thing, but help in the prosecution of these hate crimes. We also are pushing the No Hate Act because actually our nation fails in its gathering of hate crime statistics. There is a 1990 federal law that says that hate crime statistics are supposed to be gathered on a national basis, but it's flawed because they rely on the local jurisdictions to give them those statistics voluntarily. And there's a wide variation from jurisdiction to jurisdiction as to whether they even gather them at all. In fact, there are 3 states that don't even have any hate crime statute. So the No Hate Act would remedy that. It would move towards a uniform way of reporting these hate crime statistics, but also provide resources to local jurisdictions to be able to put together a more effective hate crime program.
You mentioned upcoming sit-downs potentially with the DOJ. What potential remedies would you push for Attorney General Merrick Garland? What do you need to see him once he's firmly in position there? How do you need to see him prioritize this issue?
Well, just the fact that they're responding to us is also huge. Actually, we asked for all of this under the Trump administration for the entire last year, and they basically just ignored us totally. So the fact that they have responded to us already, the Civil Rights Division has already looked into the times for us to meet. And once Merrick Garland is actually confirmed, we are actually going to ask for a meeting with him as well. We want to push for meaningful engagement with the AAPI community. The AAPI community needs to know how to report the hate crimes, how to reach out to others in their communities, and they need to have the backing of the Department of Justice to do so. But also, they need to work together on how we can have the prosecutions that are necessary to bring these perpetrators to justice. Right now, we don't see enough prosecution. And in fact, far too many of those who've committed these assaults have not even been caught. So we need to have the cooperation of the community to be able to bring these people to justice.
All right, a special thanks there to California Representative Judy Chu for an incredibly important conversation. Our thanks to her for taking the time.